Hi and welcome to the uROk Coach in a Box sessions for the Group Worldwide uROk 33-Day Challenge. You're joining me for session number 2, and today we're going to be talking about examine, being the first step in the examine, imagine, reason process. So what do we do in the step of examine? Well, the key thing is that we want to play detective in our own lives. So we're going to do this in order to find what we call a line in the sand, or a starting point from which to make our change and growth plans. So it's all well and good having all these dreams and goals and things that you want to change in your life, but unless you actually have a look at what areas need attention first and what areas are the strongest, you risk getting fatigued running after all the goals and plans at one time. So as I said, examine, imagine, reason is part of that process that I developed for use with corporates. So we're applying a bit of business thinking to our own lives. So let's get going. The first exercise we're going to do is the exercise on values, and I'm going to get you to do some work on page 13 shortly. But let's have a little chat about values first. When we talk about values, the question I always ask my audiences is, what would you live for, die for, fight for, or strive for? So as you can probably guess, values are not really stuff, even though sometimes I know you'd think you'd fight for a new pair of shoes, or you'd love a new car, or any of those things that fall under the realm of stuff. Ultimately, however, it's our values. When they get hit, when we fulfill those values, that's where our joy, our contentment, and indeed our fulfillment comes from. So the first step in our process is to have a look at defining what those values are, and you being able to actually articulate what are the 5 most important things to you in life. So I've given you a list of words on page 13 to get you started, but obviously come up with your own. So think about the things that you'd live for, die for, fight for, and strive for. Then write the top 5 things after you've circled maybe 15, 20. Pick out the top 5 and write those down in the space provided on page 13. What we want to do now is often when we ask people, what are your values? And they might say, my values are family, health, money, all those sorts of things. We find that what we've done is adopted somebody else's value set, something that might have been handed down from mum and dad or from the church or school or any of those other bodies or they out there. So what we want to have a look at is, what are our core values? Mine, personally me, uniquely mine. So go back and have a look at the list now that we've had that little discussion about prescribed values, and pick out whether they truly are your top 5 values. No one's looking, no one's going to see this. This is your private exercise, so please feel free to be honest. Okay, go ahead and have a look at those. Great. Now, armed with our values, we'll be able to start building our life vision, our mission, our personal purpose, setting some ideals in each of those segments in the health, wealth, self, love, work, create, and of course the why, or the personal purpose. So armed with our values, now we're going to know how to shape goals and create affirmations and statements that actually are designed to help us meet those values, what's really important to us. Okay, but the next part of our exercise today, or the video coaching, is to have a look at the personal wheel inventory. And for this, you're going to need to go online. So we're going to start playing detective again in our lives, but this time we're going to take a little, I guess, a health check, if you like. So often if you're going to start a new exercise regime, or you want to start a new financial plan, one of the first things you do is you take an inventory and have a look at what your starting point is. Well, this is exactly the same with the personal wheel inventory that you'll find in the members lounge on uROk.tv. So you need to have your membership handy, obviously, your password, and then all you need to do is go into the members lounge and select take personal inventory and go through and answer the 7 sets of questions there. They've been designed to be totally subjective, and what that means is that it's not measuring you against anybody else's idea of success. This is how you feel about each of these areas in your life. how you feel about your health, how you feel you look health-wise, how you feel your energy levels are, how you feel wealth-wise, how you feel self-wise in your own person, how you feel about your love, relationships, connections, friendships, how you feel about your work and how you contribute to the world, and how you feel about your creativity. Obviously, there's a set of sections that ask you about how connected you feel you are to a larger purpose or a bigger picture. So once you've gone through and answered all those questions, you'll get your life pulse. So it generates, or the system will generate for you, a score to score your overall satisfaction with your life. And then each segment will have an individual score. So don't get too hung up on your scores, for goodness sake. Remember, this is a subjective test, and so it will change every time you do it. It doesn't really matter how much money you've got or how healthy you actually are. It's how you feel inside. So lots of people with what others would consider to have so much money it's not funny might still feel that they've got a long way to go in terms of health-wise. You might look at somebody and think, gee, their body looks great and they seem so healthy. However, in terms of their own personal standards, they may feel that they've got further to go. So you can log on right now. Go on. Now that you've done your personal wheel inventory and you've got your life pulse and your scores for each segment, I wonder if there were any surprises. Generally, I get feedback from members and all kinds of people who have done this inventory, and they say that there were really no surprises. Where they scored high, they expected to score high, and where they scored low, they weren't really surprised. So what it gives you is an idea of where in your life, in your personal wheel, which of these spots might be a bit flat and causing the whole wheel to be a bit wobbly. Which of those ones are really pumped up, could be a little bit too pumped up, so you might be able to put some energy into one of the flatter segments. Now we're going to finish this session off with the power of thoughts and words, because in the book on page 19 I give you an example of how to use the uROk chant, or the uROk shout, or the uROk, whichever appeals to you. Because essentially what we're doing is trying to provide you with a trigger that anytime your mind goes into negative thought patterns or limiting beliefs or any of those sorts of things, you'll be able to use this uROk or uROk trigger to drag yourself back into a more positive head state and something that is actually more conducive to achieving good results. Now the example I use, I'll just tell you how it finishes. The man smiles and puts away the bill for later, knowing it's already taken care of. Man goes off confidently into the rest of his day. I should have really added there, goes off confidently in his day to do, speak and think all of the things that are conducive and serving to his ultimate vision. So it's not as easy as just your thoughts create your reality, even though that's a central theme running through the uROk 33-day challenge. It's just much more than your thoughts. It's your thoughts, your speaking, your doing, which is incredibly crucial, and you're connecting back to your being. So it's all of those 5 components in that creative process that we spoke about in the intro. But I think that's about it from me. Thanks for joining me again, and I hope you're rocking on through the pre-work exercises of the challenge. I'll be back to see you next.